In 1993, Jurassic Park, directed by Steven Spielberg, hit theatres and became an instant blockbuster, with groundbreaking special effects and a well-written story adapted from Michael Crichton's novel of the same name. The film captivated audiences of all ages, and as any 90s kids will tell you, it was also the perfect excuse to buy a ton of cool toys. I'm Paul the Toy Scavenger, and this is the Toy Scavenger's history of Kenner Jurassic Park toys. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Today we'll be taking a deep dive into one of the most iconic toy lines of the 90s and how it continues to be a beloved part of pop culture history. So grab your T-Rex action figure, hit that sub button, and let's get started. It was the early 90s and Jurassic Park was about to hit the movie theatres. An opportunity to cash in on these rawsome dinos was bandied about. In fact, there was rumours about 4 toy companies even bidding for the rights before the book had been released. So that's where Kenner comes in. The toy company based in Cincinnati, Ohio, and founded in 1947, was known for producing a wide range of toys, including action figures, playsets, and vehicles. Throughout its history, Kenner had a strong relationship with film franchises and produced action figures and playsets for several popular movies and TV shows. One of their most successful toy lines was the Star Wars toy line, which was released along with the film in 1977. The toy line was extremely popular and became one of the most successful toy lines of all time, but I don't need to tell you that. And in 1993, Kenner released a toy line in conjunction with the release of the Jurassic Park film. They featured highly detailed and accurate designs, capturing the look and the feel of the dinosaurs from the film. With dino damage and characters from the film, these toys would go on to become a roaring success. The development process for the Jurassic Park toy line began well in advance of the release of the film. At the time the toy line was being developed, the actors for the film had not even been cast yet. As a result, Kenner based the designs for the action figures on the descriptions of the characters from the book, rather than the actors' likenesses. They also used some artist renditions to base their characters on. Does anybody remember Dennis Nedry and his removable limbs and his tiny little body? He looked nothing like his character. And of course, the exclusion of one of the main characters from the film, Dr. Ian Malcolm. Now, spoiler alert, and I do mean spoiler alert, if you haven't read the book and plan to do so, get ready. He actually died in the book. And as Kenner didn't know the film script, they didn't think to include him in the first run as he would only have a small part, which of course turned out to be wrong. He was featured in the Lost World book, but as they explained in that, they stated his death was premature and Malcolm was able to be saved off script. The character figures that Kenner developed were 5 of the main cast, including Dr. Alan Grant, Dr. Ellie Sattler, the gamekeeper Robert Muldoon, and the evil, non-screen accurate Dennis Nedry, and of course, one of the kids, Tim. But where was his sister Lex? At the time in the 90s, Kenner still didn't think that toys of female characters would sell that well in toy lines, and already having Ellie Sattler from the main cast in the line, they just didn't see it very cost effective to have her included. Bad Kenner, very bad Kenner. And in fact, she never even got included in later releases, which we will also touch upon. One of the most iconic figures from that first line was Dr. Alan Grant, the paleontologist who was the main character from the film. He had his blue shirt, his hat, his bowler net, and a pterodactyl. The figure of Alan Grant didn't feature the sculpt of Sam Neill's likeness until the second series was released, in which Kenner tried to capture the actor's likeness more accurately, so stick around and we will come to that very soon. Now moving on to the dinosaurs, one of the most popular figures in the line was the iconic Velociraptor. This highly detailed and articulated figure was a must-have for any Jurassic Park fan. It featured movable jaws and arms, and it was highly accurate to the design of the Velociraptor in the film. There was 2 versions, one a basic movable version and the other a screaming raptor that would make a roaring sound effect. Also, the fan favourite Dilophosaurus was also included in both sets. It had screaming features and movement action, and in the basic series it had the water spitting action as well. There was also a Dimetrodon, a set of Compies, a flying pterodon, but these didn't really make it into the film, but they did feature in the book, which is why they were used. Moving on to the larger dinosaurs, we had a Stegosaurus and a Triceratops with battle damage and realistic skin feel, along with a young T-Rex, or as it's called in Europe, T-Rex Jr. And let's not forget the giant T-Rex with its electronic roar and stomping sounds. These features that were added to the dinos were a great addition to the line that set them apart from other dinosaur lines that came before them, such as Dino Riders, which is still an amazing and underrated toy line. I recommend check them out. But the toy line wasn't just limited to the dinosaurs, it featured a wide range of character vehicles and playsets, each with its own unique feature. The playset for Jurassic Park was the Visitor Centre, which allowed kids to recreate their favourite scenes from the film and included electric fences and the iconic Jurassic Park gate, albeit a small one. This playset featured a detailed replica of the Visitor Centre from the film and included several interactive elements, such as over 100 electronic sounds and phrases. They also released 3 vehicles: the Capture Copter, the Bush Devil Tracker, which was a Jeep Wrangler, and the iconic Jungle Explorer. Kenner's attention to detail in the development process and the use of descriptions from the book and the designs helped to make the toys even more appealing to fans of the franchise. And their early start on development allowed them to have the toys available for purchase at the same time as the film, capitalising on the hype and anticipation surrounding the release. So when the second film, The Lost World Jurassic Park, was released in 1997, Kenner didn't hesitate to revisit the franchise, releasing a new toy line with similar figures and playsets, but with new characters and designs based on the creatures and scenes from the new film. This time, some of the figures were based on the likenesses of the actors from the film, like Dr. Sarah Harding and Dr. Ian Malcolm. But we are focusing on the first series of Jurassic Park. But moving back to 1994, just after the first film had been a success, Kenner decided to try and capitalise on the success of these figures and dinos. They decided to release a second series of characters with new colours and accessories. This time they would resculpt the heads to make them look more like the characters in the film. This was called Series 2. But still, poor old Dennis Nedry just wouldn't look right. He was given a better head and they just kept the original body. They also made no effort in trying to match the colours to the outfits the characters were wearing in the movie. It was just a load of random bright colours. But what they also did was introduce a set of new characters that didn't feature in the film. These were called the Dino Trackers, who were like a team of park experts and staff, and the Evil Raiders that were like a team of poachers. They had names like T-Rex Turner, Harpoon Harrison, Jaws Jackson, Skinner, but not to be confused with the WWF Hasbro Skinner, and the evil Dr. Snare, which is probably one of the best figures in the entire Jurassic Park series and featured his own dino damage, much like Dennis Nedry did. They also planned to release another one called Scrap Davis, who was kind of like a Terminator figure, which was also made by Kenner in the 1990s. It could have his limbs replaced with a robotic arm, but this one never saw the light of day. Along with these characters, they added a few new dinos to the line, along with the original dinos, but added capture gear accessories and repainted them. They also added the amazing Carnotaurus to the range, and also Gallimimus, which actually did feature in the film. Go Kenner! In this section of dinos, there was quite a few that didn't make it into production, but did feature heavily on the back of the cards and in toy catalogues. This also included a couple of the repainted vehicles, the Jungle Explorer and the Bush Devil Tracker. These have actually just been announced to be released by Mattel, which is pretty cool. Their second series of figures and playsets were generally well received, but they weren't as popular as the first series, and with the decline in sales, they were shipped abroad to Europe and repackaged once again. After the release of the Lost World toys and the film's interest started back up again, the Jurassic Park line would go on to have more years of success. They again reintroduced a Series 2 to the Lost World line, and then they moved on to Chaos Effect line. These lines are now some of the hardest to find in the toy world, and they can cost a lot of dino cash if you was trying to complete a collection. Once Hasbro purchased Kenner, the line began to decline, and Hasbro ultimately cancelled it after Jurassic Park 3. The Jurassic Park toy line produced by Kenner in the 1990s has a significant legacy in the toy industry. The toy line was extremely popular and successful, and it helped to further cement the Jurassic Park franchise. The success of the toy line helped establish Kenner as a major player in the toy industry after their success with Star Wars was waning, and Jurassic Park helped them demonstrate the power of licensing in the toy market once again. In addition to that, the Jurassic Park toy line helped to keep the franchise alive and popular among audiences, even after the release of the films. The toys allowed fans to continue to immerse themselves in the world of Jurassic Park and relive their favourite moments from the films through the figures and the playsets. Kenner's Jurassic Park toy line was one of the most iconic and successful toy lines of the 1990s. Not only was it a fun and exciting way to engage with the franchise, but it also holds a special place in the memories of those who grew up with it. And with Jurassic World thrown into the mix, its legacy can live on in toy stores. I hope you have enjoyed this trip down JP memory lane, and if you're lucky enough to still have your original figures, grab that capture gear and hold on to them tight. Thanks for watching, I've been Paul the Toy Scavenger, and I'll see you soon.